Greetings Masala followers, we are inside the hub of the BBC Asian network, possibly the largest media network out in the Western world for the Asian community. It produces content for radio, internet and video for the internet, and we are here to find out how the production is done, what happens behind the scenes. Many of you may have heard the output from this network, but there is a lot of work which happens in the background, mainly relating to the production, the decisions relating to the types of programs that are done, the kinds of guests which are invited to present, the kind of musicians who are given a platform. And with me is Satinder, who is a music producer and in quite a powerful position to decide the careers of musicians. So Satinder, tell me, how do you exercise this power?
Oh well, I wouldn't even go as far as say that we can decide the careers of musicians. Obviously, the position that I'm in personally on the playlist team, and to basically bring new music in and champion basically talent from the UK and over from the subcontinent and abroad, anywhere where there is content from Asian artists. We'll try to basically pick that up and play the best of it.
Mm-hmm. The Asian community is not one community, but it's many communities, many languages, many different types of music. How do you decide that the coverage you give is balanced between different types of music and different communities and audiences?
Well, the biggest thing is the unique position that we're in as the BBC Asian Network is we have got the ability to cater for wide ranges of the audience. Now, on daytime playlists, that's a function in itself, but then wider to that, we've got shows covering Hindi, Urdu, Gujarati, Bengali, Mirpuri and Punjabi. So we've got the language shows across the network which do play, obviously, regional music from each one of those areas. They also champion artists from the UK as well who are making music in that dialect, and quite often what we do get is we do get that crossing over into daytime. Obviously, as an artist is basically picking up in popularity within any area, what will happen is obviously it gets to a peak and that's when it will filter into daytime. So in daytime music, obviously what we try to do is we try to keep it as broad as possible. What we want to do is we want to try to make sure that everyone is catered for. The common denominator for the Asian community, no matter what dialect you speak and what part of India you're from, would be Bollywood. So that is something that is core to what we do on the network, and we play as much accessible Bollywood music as we can to make sure that everyone gets their bite of Bollywood. On top of that, in daytime we have got a rule set, which is a 40% minimum of British Asian talent. So what we try to do is we try to get the best in British Asian talent and showcase the music that they're making. And obviously we're coming into the fourth generation of Asians in the country now. I think that there's an industry that's built there, which predominantly is Punjabi at the moment, but we are seeing a lot of other genres basically coming in now from British Asian artists that we're trying to basically grow and build, whether it's on our specialist music output, where it would most likely start off, and it will basically filter through again into daytime. But we now have got established acts which are a part of the fabric of daytime music on the Asian network as well.
Wow. One of the things I remember hearing, which I thought initially was surprising, was I hear a lot of English music on the Asian network. One would have thought that an Asian network is about Asian music, but in a way, it was also quite nice to hear that. This is the reality of young people, or that people hear different types of music. So how was that decision taken, and how is that perceived by the audiences?
Well, at the moment there's a reduction in the amount of mainstream music, as we call it, within daytime. It comes into slots where people will request it, or as we're finding now, especially in this day and age, with what Jay Sean has basically gone and done in the mainstream market, obviously getting a number one in America, it was massive for not only UK music on the mainstream, but for British Asians, that has opened up the creativity levels for a lot of artists. So what we're doing now is that we've got a lot more music which is in English, but is done by British Asian artists. Or Asian artists from across the world. Okay. So currently on our playlist, where we've got Raghav, who's a Canadian but obviously of Asian descent. We've got Mumsy, who's a young British Bangladeshi but obviously sings in English. We've got Jay Sean. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to give the platform for young and aspiring pop artists who want to get and break the barriers and don't want to sing just in their own dialects. And in Asian dialects, we want to basically take it out and say that yes, we're credible, we can sing in English, and we've got a sound which is fitting in with that pop/urban sound of the moment, and we want to basically try and promote that. So that's the kind of music that we're trying to push at the moment in daytime. Obviously there's the hip hop and R&B artists that you will hear, and obviously there's other artists that you will hear on, especially on a show like Friction, where the music is broad. And on our specialist music programs on the weekend, like I said, you will hear a lot of hip hop and R&B. But that is essentially what young British Asians are listening to, in conjunction with Asian music. So it's trying to get that fine balance, And we are, like I said, we're in a position where we thankfully we can basically have programming that goes out to every area of British Asian life. So if you're younger and you want that fix of hip hop and R&B, but you want a Bollywood track or you want a Bhangra track, you can quite easily listen to one of our specialist programs where they will sit side by side. And I think that's quite unique in this day and age, obviously, with the Asian radio landscape.
But what do you do, and how do you decide on the stories?
Well, I'm the interactive editor for just the Asian Network website, and part of that role isn't just the website, it's about representing the Asian Network on digital platforms. So on the website, on mobile, on the red button, on TV, on social media spaces like Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. So we're trying to get out there and kind of get Asian Network, which is the radio station, a digital station, and get it out there in digital spaces. The principal kind of the website part of it is representing all the different programs, so all of the programs available to listen to again for 7 days after they've been broadcast. And what we started to do is trying to cut up bits of content and shoot video sometimes to represent or visualize the radio, such as live sessions or interviews with Bollywood stars sometimes. And other features, so we've done features around Diwali, we've done features around Eid, the Vaisakhi, slideshows, and they go onto our website, and then we kind of syndicate them and socialise them through Facebook and YouTube as well. Sort of some of the big successes we've had in the last couple of years is on the red button. So on any BBC channel you can press the red button on your kind of Freeview or Freesat or satellite services, and you get to watch something that we've put together. So we did a summer of Melas, so we had kind of highlights from all the different Melas across the country that we'd been attending. We did something at the UK AMAs, the Asian Music Awards, and we're planning at the moment a Bollywood red button program, which we've never kind of tried Bollywood on red button before. So I think from December 13th you'll be able to see Asian Network's kind of best bits of Bollywood. So we've kind of done interviews with Aishwarya, Hrithik, Abhishek, and we did In Conversations with Shah Rukh Khan, Kajol and Karan Johar and Amir Khan. So we're going to try and package all that together, and you kind of get a big highlights program that you can watch for 7 days on the red button on a loop. And those have worked really well for us. So the very first one we did with Summer of Melas, we kind of got I think it was 810,000 views, which is kind of quite significant, and it's one of the high kind of views on there. So that's kind of, then you're getting to new audiences who are finding out about Asian Network if they didn't realise it already existed, because they get to see the red. Most people click on the red button when they want to look at the news or the sports headlines, and as a result of it, if they see Mel and music, they think, oh right, there's something interesting, what's that?
That's how I saw it,
So these are the different kinds of things that we do.
Oh wow, that's very, very fascinating. I mean, It's of course online presence is 24/7 as
Yes.
well. So in that sense, it's very powerful.
And so some of the things we've just done recently, it's about how can you be dynamic, because we're quite a small team. There's only sort of 3 to 4 of us around who run the interactive part of Asian Network. So the more dynamic things can be, so when people update their program descriptions, when they know what's in their show, or they finish the show and they start putting the track listings up, we get the whole production team on the network involved in that part of it. So when they update it, it automatically updates the website. So you kind of have a little bit of dynamism on the website. And then we can editorialize and do the promos. So this weekend obviously it was Diwali, so we had a big Diwali promo telling people the programs that had been on, that were coming up. We'd taken photos at 2 Diwali Melas, one in Manchester, one in Birmingham, so we had photos where we'd gone out and seen what the public were up to in these community events. And we've done the same for Eid, we've done the same for Vaisakhi, so we try and do a little bit of that.
What's the interactive? I mean, in this sense, the Asian network is probably outside India is probably the biggest kind of Asian culture media resource. Would you say outside India, which and professionally run and managed, and also with a global kind of audience? Would that be a fair?
I'd like to think so. I think in terms of audience figures, I can't comment on where we are with other sort of organisations, but in terms of doing something on a national basis in the UK, we are kind of one of the only broadcasters that does that on radio and has the online elements. I think you've got other online websites, you've got other radio stations, but kind of bringing the two together and doing things that make significant impact, we are there. Our only sort of downfall is that the audience, not enough people know about the Asian Network yet. And so
and maybe DAB is another
downfall.
Because so no, fantastic. And of course you got the whole quality and brand of the BBC, so the kind of professionalism in the
got a lot of support. So I mean, I mentioned earlier on that there are 3 people in my team, but the backbone of how we're able to do what we're doing is because there is a wider interactive department that works basically audio music interactive, which looks after Radio 1, Radio 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 Extra, 6 Music, and so the stuff that's developed is developed for all the radio stations. So how the iPlayer now works, and formerly the radio player, how we manage all our program sites, so they all kind of do program information, track listings, adding photos. Those are tools that are developed sort of pan radio or pan BBC that then we can all take advantage of, and that kind of helps us to do the structure, the infrastructure of the site. And then what we can do is editorialize and develop the features around what we know on the radio station and what we're involved in, but we know then, and we're the conduit between the kind of technical bit and the editorial bit.